Morning. Oh, wrong one. Go with this one as a start. How y'all doing? All right. Let's see if we can get this going properly. All right. So we're back and we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty of the low poly stuff. Yesterday we used the we as if I'm royal, the royal we, of course. No. Yesterday I looked at, well, rather I finished the high poly. Decided that the very small details were left out this time around, and I went for more. It's a bit more casual overall. It was meant to be a practice thing from the beginning, so I thought, you know what, let's just keep it that way, keep it that mindset of being just a practice run. So I decided to end there, do decimation on the low poly and also the high poly because I didn't want to bake on I think it was 6 million points model. There's really no benefit, at least not a lot, like the percentage you gain from baking on such a high poly. From experience, it's really not that worth the time and effort to do that, to use such a high level, a high poly asset. So I decided that let's decimate it further. I think I went down to 20% of the original, or perhaps 10%. Can't remember the exact number, which meant that we went from 6 million down to either 600,000 or 1.2 million. One of those, I think it was 600,000, which should make things quite a lot easier for me. I might have lost a percentage or two of details, but what I gain is less headache because the loading time and the bake time will be reduced quite a bit. Again, we'll see. It's been a while, but I do believe 6 million was too much. So 600,000 should be enough. And then after that, we took the same mesh or the same process and created low poly, which I believe turned out to be around 5,000. I'm just going to confirm that. Statistics and blend tells me it's I'm not sure. Vertices, there you go. 5,000. Yeah. 5,000 vertices of points. I think the triangles are 10,000, which makes sense. We have 5,000 points, so you get, I think it makes sense, doesn't it? It's way too early for me to do math right now, but we have what we have. That's what we're going to work with. So what we ended off yesterday, second, something stuck in my throat. Gulp of water. I think I should really get something that helps me mute efficiently. Right now it's one of these. Just go to OBS, find the button. Where's the button? Click it. Hopefully it's the right one, not the music. That's for a later thing, and I'll take the time to make my setup more efficient every now and then. Slowly building on it. Right, the UV mapping, right? That's where I was. Yeah, we ended up with doing a bit of UV mapping yesterday. Just a taste of what's most of this stream is going to be all about. The goal for this stream is to reach a level of UV mapping where I can look at it and say something like, yeah, this is going to work. It's not much of a goal, but it is the goal we're working with. And I have installed. It's just going to pop up. No, it's not. There we go. I've installed because for some reason I didn't have Painter installed, but now it is. So we'll work with that. At worst, if I hadn't had Painter installed, I would use Substance 3D Substance Designer Not as efficient or like a streamlined pipeline for baking, but it would have worked. But either way, it is installed. And actually, let's quickly try and open it just to see that's nothing's wrong with it. It shouldn't take more than a few seconds. And there we go. Yes, it's open and it's launching. So we can close that down. So I think I tend to do that. What is on the docket? As I mentioned, yes, view map and export low poly mesh. We're going with that. I think that's it. I have nothing else to kind of add into this morning thing. Oh, I realized something. I'm an idiot. My coffee. I didn't brew coffee this morning. This is gonna be horrendous. I can't do this. I can't. I really can't. I'll be fine. I have my water. No. That's me trying to tell myself that I'm gonna be fine. I'm way too addictive. No, not me. I'm not addictive. I'm addicted to coffee. That's what I'm trying to say. Perhaps I am addictive. I don't know. My bet is I'm not. That's what I'm gonna bet on. Let's transition over to Blender and get started. So, let's see. Where did we leave off? We had the checker, which is really easily added to the scene with this add-on called Text Tools. Just click this checker map and you'll find a newer version might give you a modifier. And there's probably a good reason why that's happening. I personally don't like it. In my experience, it tends to not work well with the pick option because it takes texels. I believe it gives a warning telling you that it doesn't have a material assigned, which is what we want. So we want this material, and I think that should be also added together with that modifier. Actually, we can try it out, see what happens if I do that. Yeah, that didn't work. So let's move back to actually, now that I think about it, this one could be interesting to use. Not that much difference, but we can tell the directions. That could be nice, actually. I'll keep that one in mind. For now, let's move back to the check pattern. What you want to try and aim for, as much as you possibly can, there's limits to this, but you want to try and aim for squares that are as close as in size to each other as possible. You don't want to have areas where it's kind of see if I can kind of find a good spot for it. Well, it's kind of hard to tell. This square down here with the blue plus, from first glance, it looks slightly smaller than this with the yellow square. The square with the yellow plus sign. And what that will do in the texture, the larger one would have slightly lower resolution, just slightly, since it's occupying this one is hard to explain. The area of our texture is static. It's either going to be 1024 or 2048. I'm not going for 4096 as overkill. So we're going to go for 2048 texture, likely. And these squares represent a specific area. I think I'm kind of walk myself into in the corner. Makes no sense. Please try and let's go with a larger square equals. Oh, this is actually, let's go with this. So, all right, but we're backing off. We're backing off. this square represents a square on this map, right? Or this texture. If it's larger, that means that it's been kind of zoomed in, which means now let's think of it as a pixel. That pixel now tries to I think I'm just going to skip this because I can't really explain this. Not in the way that I feel would. I'll think about it and see if I can figure out something, a good way to explain it. For now, let's imagine that large squares are bad, small squares good, and especially if they're all equal size. Perhaps that's the last one is even more important. As long as the squares are close to equal, that's a good spot to be in. With that said, let's go into some more practical stuff here. So I do have a line that crosses all the way, trying to separate this big piece right here, right there, and let's go to another matcap. I want one that shows me valleys and similar a bit more than this. That's not gonna work. But this usually tends to be quite good. Okay, I'm gonna try and add the where is it? Cavity one. Just to help. Not a lot. Alright. But we know what to do. But that looks fine. So we can hold down control and just move it around. So once we select the one edge, using control to move along. Actually, let's go with this instead. We want to find all the valleys down. Let's go with that instead. So where two like flat surfaces kind of meet up. Like, imagine this section being a flat surface. It's not completely flat, but bear with me a bit. And then you have this part that's more flat. Ones where they meet, that's where you kind of want to add your UVs as close as possible, at least. It might not be possible in our areas because you could have it more gradient slope. And of course, that might be difficult at that stage. No. Just do small steps. Let's make you a seam. Oh, and also I have something called auto UVs. It's an option. Oh, sorry, live unwrap. So once I add a seam, it will cut my UVs up and automatically UV unwrap everything. Or something like this where you don't have to be, we're not concerned with where our UVs are at this point, like how they are aligned. All we want is to start cutting into it and making sure we get our islands in a less convoluted way as possible. Just kind of just keep working on it and see what happens. Let's see. Move. Do I want to move across this part? Let's go with that part. I like the line. And let's see. The seam. Okay, so we need to make a decision. Should we actually not go that way? Go around it instead. But I want to keep that. I don't see it mattering that much, so let's go with this. And it was a sign we got this morning. So yesterday, I had a short but cool chat about Roblox on the chatters. It was kind of eye-opening in a way because although I've heard, of course, and I haven't missed the fact that something like Roblox exists, I think I've underestimated the sheer size of Roblox. So I saw a video this morning while I was eating breakfast that as a platform, Roblox could potentially be worth like 70 something $billion, which is absolutely insane. Because what was it? Microsoft bought. I mean, there's also part of the video that Microsoft bought Activision for 68, 69 billion. So people, I mean myself included, realizing sheer fact that something that's been around for so long, like Call of Duty, Activision, and all of that, is worth equal or the same amount as Roblox. I think that for many that can be a wake up call. Hearing that, for me, it was definitely. Never tried it. Perhaps that's a thing I should do just to see what it's all about. Don't really have that much interest in it in Roblox. Who knows? Might be interesting. The point is that we do see the world, the gaming world, shift a bit, or a bit, quite a lot, and it's been doing it for quite some time. And it's about certainly a small part depressing because we're moving away from an era of games the way it's been made that I'm used to. Well, I think the video often referred to as a content generation and a network generation, which means that now it's more, well, it used to be more like, hey, here's a game, here's the content, play it, have fun, then look for the next one. And you kept doing that. Now it's more, where's your network? And what are they playing? Because in the future, we might see something similar to us in social media, where you have few giants that keeps everyone on their platform. That's both interesting and slightly concerning, I guess. Imagining that we might not see large companies, new large companies, pop up as much anymore. Well, I mean, I'm more interested in the game scene myself, but there's like all these large companies do have a spot in our games because they tend to invest, not necessarily in new innovative stuff. I think there is a reason we have a lot of tools. Maybe not tools necessarily. My point is there's a time and place for these companies too. Although the backbone, I think, is still indie. That's where, like, usually you would see the most innovation. You have to be innovative within indie to succeed. Perhaps not. Maybe that's way too black and white statement. But certainly being innovative within indie is helpful and will, depending on, of course, what it is you try, help you succeed. And this is my attempt of adding some opinions into a subject that, although I am indie, do tend to just focus on the creation part, not necessarily the higher thinking stuff. That part, I do tend to listen more to others' opinions and like look at it, compare it to my own, and say, hey, okay, I see what they're going for. You don't have to be an expert in everything, or have an opinion in everything. You know, at some point, you can actually, I feel, just give away a bit of your critical thinking. Not a lot, of course. You still need to be critical. Don't ever completely let go of that. But I'm thinking like a example in my personal life. I work out. I go to the gym. I do all the lifting, everything like that. I don't read much about it. I have a source or two sources. Actually, might be three. Let's say two. And I listen to what they say and I go with it. Not like a blind, like a sheep, right? But if they say this works, like, okay, okay. I think that is reasonable based on my own experience. So let's go with that. And saying with my own based on my own experience, I'm not saying okay, I'll give you a pass on this one because I feel the same. No, more like, all right, so I have some experience with what you're saying, and the new thing you're adding to it makes sense based on what I experienced myself. Therefore, I'm going to keep trusting what you're saying, more along that line than anything else. I am by no means an expert within the world of heavy like lifting. I've done it for many years, but I've also kind of just did it mostly done it for fun and necessity of like staying healthy. Go. Let's keep going this line. I'm not super worried about it because it's a valley, so I think we're gonna be fine. But perhaps we want to go this way instead. Don't want to be too much up on the wall. And why it could be fine going this way. Why didn't I clear that seam? Okay. It's going to spread out the UVs. So these UVs going to point in this direction, these UVs going to point in this direction. But it's not necessarily going to be show up that obviously as a seam. And if it does, it's going to be in the valley where people, myself included, will like feel, yep, that'll make sense having it. There's no really something that feels out of place by having it in the valley. I might actually try and go all the way, but just this part, sure. This section though might be, because it's not really the biggest, most obvious valley, it might be more obvious part or an area where a obvious seam might show up. So we'll leave that. This part is probably gonna have to be cut up a lot more, especially since it's still connected to another large piece. It's a bit more challenging to cut though. I could go through this, but again, it tends to stop on a flat surface. There's no valley or edge connecting these UVs. Right now, I'm just looking for the most obvious places I can add a seam. It seems that was not intended, but there's not many obvious lines left. So I think we made the seam of all of them. Let's select them all. This step is not necessary, but I like how it looks when these are sharp. Helps me out quite a bit. So let's look at material. So I can tell that this one needs to be likely unfolded. Other than that, we're doing decently, not great. So let's start with you. And the one big reason we're having an issue is because it's part of this larger part right here. Like I said, it's not horrendous, but we can do better. Question is though, how? we want to cross over this part, but that's a big flat surface. Then anything else we can do? We could potentially cut along the line, this line, keep it to edge, see if we can help it relax a bit. So let's see if we can do that. Let's try it out. It's kind of hard to tell until we've actually done the first bake. We can see tendencies by doing these things and help using materials. We can kind of see, okay, I'm starting to see we might be onto something. But still, yeah, that didn't help a lot because we still have this issue right here. I'm not sure if this is going to help all that much. I should be more thought of this a bit more when I was sculpting. Could have added some details that could help with the UV mapping. Well, I didn't do it, so there is this flat surface going across. It's not the most obvious one. But I'm feeling a bit desperate right now to get this UV mapped. Well, desperate. Kind of harsh word. Do want this to unfold better than what it is doing right now, so still looking for those edges. Let's try this. It's probably not going to be work. As you can straight away see, we're going to have a seam right away across this part. But we might get away with it because it is something of a flat plane. We'll remove the crossed edge, but I don't know. Do not know. Perhaps actually going down this way could have been better. Can't really get away from this seam, so we might have just to bite the bullet and go with it. Use the C. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's a tool where you can select using a brush. The pen select tool. Yes, let's move those. Might still be an issue. We'll see. We have to move on though, so actually let's go this direction and add a UV seam down this way. So now we've separated this section up here and this part. And we don't have, we do still have bits, right? No? Don't like this. Should be fine. Let's move on and I'll have a think about this. Because it should be fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. Let's move on to a more obvious thief. This big one right here. So let's separate you from scenes. We can focus on it. Okay, so what are we looking for? We are, of course, looking for the usual You know what? Let's turn this off. Flatten. That opens up a bit more visuals for us. Tell right away that this section needed to be split off like this. Then we could, looking at the angle, because we've run out of all the valleys. Okay. Let's get to it. Yeah, fix that section. Is there another? Good. Up. Because I have a bluish, then purple. Let's go with that. Separate the purples, the green. Ooh, but this one's a bit rough. Yep, let's go with that. Also are that we have to revisit the UV mapping once we've tried bake. See what it looks like. Now we don't need this part. Perhaps even split. No, I'm gonna keep that. Go with this angle. Swap song though. I'm feeling it. Um. Oh. Let's go. All right. Let's do this. Can try find the sharpest edge I can find. Hopefully that makes sense in the long run. Could potentially separate, open up this part, maybe even separate it. Not sure how. We have a quite flat surface right there. Not much of a valley. Then again, we might not need it because looking at this, actually, I have to tell with the lighting and that might actually be an issue. Let's see if we can get away with small seam in that area. That's nice. A big flat surface with continuous flow. Same here, though. We could have that flow going across, might be better. rather than wrapping. Then again, if we do this, we'll have a similar issue, right? Would it make more sense? Let's go with that wood. So we're gonna do this instead. And of course, we're gonna have to stitch these together like this. Yeah. Okay, so looking at this, we have smaller, more uniform shapes going this way. Going back to this. Actually, we might be able to combine this part now. It's not. Wraps around a bit too much. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, you can tell the squares goes up in size quickly, so let's not do that. We can turn this island in front of me right now to match up with the directions of this at some point, but for now we need it to be more or less ununiform. It needs to be more uniform in size. Then we have this thing. What are you? You have a fairly obvious straight going this way. Could potentially go this way. Or I can go this way, which would likely be less obvious. Now this one is, I'd say this surface is fine. And this one, I'm gonna call it fine enough. These are slightly larger, but it's really within the margins. In my head, I go with, if it's around 10-15%, doesn't really say a lot for most people. This is just my personal train of thought. Like, what is 10-15% of this, whatever it is, because it's not like I have a value that I add or subtract from. It's more of a, this looks for me as 20%. Check. So we do have this guy. Why are you an issue? Shouldn't, right? Is it purely because it wasn't caught in the unwrap part? Yep, that looks to be the case. Let's just, since that seems to be an issue, let's just unwrap everything. And with that, we can tell that this will likely be the biggest offender right now. It's not horrendous though. It does have a flow I'm not super happy with. I do want to fix that if I can. Because it tends to indicate that you have the relationship between the islands, the UVs, positions and everything. They are stretching to fit, to make sure that all the entire island is flat. They're kind of deforming themselves in a way that forces everything to curve. So we can relieve some of that pressure on it. I think that could be a good option. And it seems like we have a fairly obvious valley. going through there. Let's go with it. Oh, where did I go? That's not where I wanted to go. Go. What about that section up here? Feels like a shadow, but it's actually the square itself in texture. All right. And it go all the. Oh yeah, actually, that's one of the one I've talked about before. That could help. I'm not sure if I want to just divide that part or split it up. What would it look like if I did that? It goes across that part. That could be useful. That could work. And we still have this part. But that is a small edge. We could get away with that. One of these let's compromise scenarios. I think that would be really cutting it close though. Alternatively, we could go back to the line. Rather than go this way, we can go this direction. That might be a better choice. Go this way instead. Okay. So now we have a small potential seam. Let's go this way instead. I would have been happy. I would have been satisfied with this line, I think, because it's such a small seam. There will be those who notice it, definitely, and now I definitely know about it. But in the heat of the moment when you play a game, those seams, the chances are you might not see them. Or really small. When I say you, I mean the large group of players. Majority. That's what it's called. There will always be some people who will have these eagle eye like capabilities to see these things. What if I do that? That's gonna be an issue. Perhaps not. Next, let's just do a UV wrap. Just in case, yeah. We reached a point where we can do some refinements on placement. I think we have. Can't see anything that's obviously wrong. Perhaps this part, because we are deforming the UVs a bit. But it's not horrendous. It's a slight bend. I wouldn't be concerned about that. All these look, I would say, decent enough. So let's first turn off live unwrap, because if we ever do anything with these seams, that will just mess up potentially everything we're going to do now. So we need to disable that. And I do want to try that new checker I found. This one. Those are way too large. Let's see if we can adjust the shading. Let's see. What type of mess have you made? Alright, so there's... Which one is it? Is it the vector or the mapping? Can't remember. I'm not the biggest expert when it comes to blenders. And okay, so that kind of... That's not the right one, is it? It is, okay. So what if we do that? There we go. Let's go for 4. Yeah, 4 works well. So here's the plan. Or maybe not. Okay. Okay, so just give me a minute, because I just realized something. So here's my train of thoughts, or what it was. I wanted to use these arrows to align the islands in a way that the flow of details that will be in the texture goes roughly in the same direction. So you would have this one. And just select the entire thing. Why is it selecting partially? Is it... Alright, there we go. So the idea I had is, let's assume this is my base direction. Which means all the directions in my texture, let's say I have lines going down. Can I see that? So let's say in my texture I have cracks or other details that can indicate at least an illusion of a direction of your texture. Lines tells you, oh, I can have a lot of horizontal lines, therefore the direction is either right or left, which means I can have those lines go with this big shape, like in the up along, the direction of the arrows right now. I can have those lines go with the arrows or against arrows. So let's say I do have this, and I want those direct horizontal lines. Let's go with horizontal lines that goes from left to right, or X direction. And I do want them to go across this section like the arrows indicate. Well, therefore I should actually, in this case, I would have the arrows pointing down because my lines were horizontal. The arrows are vertical. So I would have to adjust my rock to look something like this. With that, I now have aligned my island to have the imaginary horizontal lines of the imaginary texture. This is really there's a better way to do this. Bear with me. I'm trying to learn how to do these things the proper way, or in the way that it can make sense to people. All right. Okay. So imagine this. In a texture you want to use, there are obvious... That wasn't obvious at all. Okay. There are more or less obvious details in your texture that goes this way, or the other, or you can also go this way. Is that actually coming through? Hope so. If anything, I've learned something today. So how would that look like on my island then, because that's how UVs work. This section will be shown. If you have this section, will be shown on that island. So in my case now, they aligned my UV island to flow with the arrows like this. Then the red line, the red details will go this way. I think that is a decent explanation. Perhaps not the best one. And if it isn't, if it's a terrible explanation, please give me that feedback. I do want to improve these things. Making sure when I do say stuff, that it does make sense. It's not my expertise. So that was a bit of a tangent, but I think it was necessary to, now that we go back to what I wanted to say, which was, I think my original idea of aligning the UVs like this might screw me over, because I want my islands to fit into the UV space as close and as possible with each other and the lines and everything, and occupy as much of the space as possible so that I can get the most out of my textures, at least resolution wise. I might be sacrificing some, not fidelity necessarily, but realism, because some flow of those details might be off-putting, look weird, since the UV island isn't really aligned properly with the textures. But if I don't, but I can choose textures that don't really have that directional detail. They are more all over the place. Not correct word, but I think it kind of goes with my train of thought. Ever had that issue where in your head sounds so logical, so reasonable, and as soon as you say it out loud, you're like, do I even know what I'm talking about? I do know what I'm talking about, I swear. What I don't know, I'm learning, is how do I teach this, how do I explain this in a way that, without feedback at least, I think, for now at least, this is what I think makes sense as an explanation. But who knows? And I hope someone tells me. So, what we're going to try. So the option I'm going for is I want to occupy as much of the UV space as possible. So I'm not going to worry about the direction of our texture. I think we can get away with that. As long as our squares are roughly the same size within that margin I mentioned earlier. And we're occupying as much of the UV space as possible, where we should be fine. Because we knew we want to do the edge baking, the normal baking, all of that. And I mean, there are so many ways we can go around doing this. At least I can think of 3 to 4 ways. Let's say 3, the fourth might be a bit too complicated, if it even exists. So we're going to go with the simplest one, occupy as much UV space as possible, do a break, and go on to texturing. And with that said, now let's see. I'm going to use the UV Pack Master. I do love this add-on. It's very efficient when it comes to packing stuff. Okay. So what we want to do, well, let's just try to see what happens. That's just a regular bake or package. Not perfect by any means. Can I get closer? No, not really. So let's add the heuristics, which just, I'm giving it time to think about what it's doing. I can just click pack, and it will continuously try to find the best way of doing this pack. Eventually, we'll find an even better one, hopefully. But that didn't add much to the current area. So you can see down here, we were at, I think, 0.601. So we got another 30 or 3 point something percent improvement. It's not a lot. It's actually not good at all. If I can, I want to aim for 80%, which is 0.8. And why is this happening? Well, we can see that these islands interact quite well with each other. This one too, and these two. The big thief is this big hunk right there. So let's see if we can't divide you, and straight away I can tell we should be able to get away with breaking up this section. Let's do that. Now the question is, it's kind of hard to meet up across this part. I could go this way and then back. I do know I do want to do at least that. And this. And you, that works. So I now know that if I do this, mark seam on that part, we have 2 islands. We should have 2 islands. But I'm questioning whether or not that is the best choice. We could potentially, this pockets right here, make that its own UV island. But I'm not sure. This section feels a bit too rounded to have a proper edge for this. And proper a harsh angle on it, like preferably, I think I'm gonna guess 60% is probably a good candidate for an edge. It's not really that hard cut, but I would say if you can get a 60 degree, you will very likely be fine. Let's go like this, and don't have live unwrap on. Okay. Let's see what pack master gives us now. It's not much better, huh? Should we try and make it even smaller? Oh, I do have a very small margin, didn't I? No, I do have proper margin. Enable rotation. Okay. So what was it? 0.64. Can I even improve that? I do want to. How would I go about that though? What if we go? That's you. Okay, you do have a flat surface on top. Let's split that up. But that's what's going on here. That's fine. Yeah, definitely. Let's try and improve the area coverage. Oh, okay, I need to go this way instead. I mean, I am slightly worried because it is a bit too round. Not really, it's super obvious flat surface. So we'll see if that's actually going to work for us. All right, see if we can improve the area now. Okay, so we got another 3%, but it does feel like it's covering a bit more, like from a glance. I feel these type pockets were more prevalent earlier. So perhaps aiming for 80% isn't the most reasonable, because we need to balance between the coverage and potential seams. So perhaps we've reached a point where we just have to accept this is as best as it gets. We could actually go and do this though. That might give us another percentage or so, because this little thing could occupy pockets like this. And there was another one, wasn't it? Didn't we have another one like that? Or was that the only? Looks like the only one. Okay, so an unwrap. Let's do a pack. We can get 0.7. That would be great. Or did we lose area? Might have. I'm gonna try one more thing. I can kind of tell perhaps this section could give us a bit more. I do have a small valley going down here. If we do this, I don't know. It's like I'm trying to find solution that might not be there. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a seam. But perhaps I might have to accept that. It is a chance, though, that this section... Can't really tell now. The islands or the squares are size that I find acceptable. I think this is where we're gonna have to admit that we can't really get much lower than this. I mean, yes, we probably could. I'm not sure how entertaining it is to see me spend the next hour or so cutting this thing into smaller and smaller pieces, because we do need to try it out, because we might find that all those extra seams we just added the past like 10 minutes might be causing a way too obvious seams. So what we're going to do now is accept where we are. And I'm going to take like half a minute, 2-minute break. It's getting, these lights are really hot and I don't have any more to drink, so I need to fill up. So give me half a minute, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm not going to make the same mistake I did yesterday. I am going to show the entire process. All right. We are now. Okay. So one thing, well, it's just two-parter. Rather, there's two answers to my questionnaire. I've, over the years, tried to find an answer to this. I probably have multiple times, but I tend to gaslight myself and forget what was the correct answer. When baking, there is something you need to be careful of, and that is whether or not you should or shouldn't use hard edges. And hard edge meaning in Blender will be a flat edge or a sharp edge. So you have, so in roughly you have two options when it comes to shading. You can either do a hard slash sharp edge, or you can do a soft. And the difference kind of goes like this. This would be hard. This is also called flat in Blender. Let's keep it to hard and sharp. Because in Maya and 3D Max, you would probably encounter hard rather than flat. So I can go between these. I can do this, which is a shading, a smooth shading, or I can go with a hard flat. Now, for a game, you wouldn't rarely go with this. You would very much, you would likely go with this. But here's my question. I should know this because I have looked it up multiple times. I can make my seams. So if I select my seams, I can make these sharp. And then when I shade it smooth and activate my auto, this is what I get. Which personally I think looks cool. But I'm thinking it might be an issue for the baking when it comes baking. So my initial thought is that we need to have all smooth. Because in the game, you want it all smooth. Someone told me years ago, and I hope I remember what they said correctly. Hard edge, when you have a hard edge, the way it's interpreted by an engine, let's go with the Unreal, might be different from other engines, but Unreal specifically. That's what I have experienced. I do have some Unity too, but let's go with the Unreal. My point is, I think that what it does, it thinks each plane, each new island, each separated piece, and separated by hard edges. So you would have one piece down here and another piece up here. And what I'm saying, take it with a big grain of salt. So it's more like a question for anyone who wants to give me the proper answer to this. I do believe it's these faces, these islands are now looked on as unique or separate meshes. Is that the proper term? Which adds a bit more computation, that's the word, to whatever project we're working on. I think that's my main question, is that's true? I'm going to go with, for now, at least until I have an answer on it, a proper one, I'm going to go with yes, that's what it is. So we're going to shade the entire thing smooth, like this. And we're going to save. I haven't done that in a while. We can look at, I need probably, all right, I forgot these two things. Do I need to do anything with you? Now that my eyes are a bit more fresh from yesterday. Anything that sticks out as absolutely horrendously obvious. Why didn't I fix that? Actually, there are a few things. But I'm not going to be able to fix those. Let's see. Probably a good idea. Perhaps I decimated this a bit too much. From a distance, it all looks fine to me. Which is what I said yesterday. Actually, we're going to try the Mac app. See if we can spot something dirty. The details aren't as sharp as I would like. But getting everything to that point where I'm like, yes, this is good, would take me days. Because I would start doing this area and for the next hour or so. And I realize, oh, I need to do this area, then another hour, this area, because it's such a small, minute task. Like everything needs to be going here, add this, like this. You feel like that's the tempo, right? That's the speed I would do it in. And if you imagine doing that all this entire thing, at least, and again, that's the level of detail I would go for if I made this for my portfolio or something like that. For a game, personal one, perhaps even project, a larger project, depending on the art direction, this is more than enough. Because players, even though they get close, they would see a level of details that's on this scale. That's an obvious one. Are there any obvious ones like that? You, perhaps? Yes, and you. There we go. These shading artifacts, I'm just sliding the points that usually it's underneath another edge or too close to an edge. Just slide it underneath or away from it. You just need a double tap on G. That's probably overkill, but while we're at it, why not? Just another minute or so. Say, sculpt the detail. Right? Anything? No. Perhaps another Mac cap would show these off a bit more. Swapping back and forth can help your eyes see things you haven't seen before. Here you go. 2 of them. Had I used the full resolution model, I would probably not have this issue. But working with that full resolution model would have been an absolute pain in the ass. So this slight detour is way more acceptable. That's just a dent. Let's try another Mac cap. I think we're fine, but let's just quickly. This one tends to have obvious things shown. There we go. Straight away. Really not happy with that. That whatever this is that horseshoe. That's gonna annoy me. I'm not going back. That would actually annoy me even more in the end. Going back and going against my own like word and judgment would annoy me even more. I'm like, oh, I need to move on because I need to make this. I need to keep the pace going. Instead, I'm going back and forth. That was done right. Like fixing small stuff that likely others. So there's probably someone out there that felt the same way that I did. Are they the majority or the minority? I don't know. I have to take a guess because I need to move forward. And then the way you would do it is, okay, how many people would actually see this and think that's horrendous, and compared to people who would not think of it, just move on think of something else. They saw a different detail and saw something cool. So, I mean, these people, these groupings, I guess I'm going to call them labels, are things to consider. Like, I can work on this forever, making it like as detailed as I can. But for like 95% of people, perhaps this is an amazing model. So you should just move on. That's what I'm going to do. I think I should call my stream the rambling stream or something like that, because I do tend to just go off tangent and ramble. Though I want everything I say to be at least in some way valuable to people. I do tend to ramble. All right, rambling over, and I can't see any more of those shading stuff, so let's take it to the next level, which is the baking. And I have a question regarding that. There's a way to make the signing meshes in the baking process. If we have the correct name, that will help us a lot. So Substance Painter, naming, baking. Let's see what it can get us. All right, so it's the usual underscore high underscore low, and I do have that already. Then there might be these things, which perhaps most didn't know about. You can name this geometry data or the mesh data by dragging this icon on top of. Perhaps I can even make it. There you go. I can also do that. That's kind of cool. But I can just grab the object's name or the icon up here and just add it to this part. Let's say it's called high. Well, I can just make it high again instead of high. HI. High or high. Pick one. Okay. Another thing I'm going to do. I don't think this is an issue. Let's just double check. You have UV data and you don't. Why I'm looking for that is, personally, I do want to remember in my head that sometimes when I worked really a lot on these rocks, this is about 2-3 years ago, I tend to remove the UV maps from the high poly because it's unnecessary data, and it was slowing things down, I think. Not sure. At least that was a conclusion I reached back then, and it might have been way off, but for some reason I felt it was necessary and I did it. You might not have to, but if it starts slowing down, try it out. If it works, if it helps, then I was correct back then. Who knows? Just have a default material. Not sure if I need it. And after all of that, I should be fine. However, I need to fix you because I don't want you to have that material. I need a new one. And not that one. This one. So let's call it... because the name of this material is going to, in the end, affect the name of my texture. So let's keep to... do it stream rock. Let's just go with 01. Yeah. But then I think we're ready to move this along. What I could do now is I can export this in OBJ. Question, should I just override these? I do have everything in Zbrush. If I need to, I can just go back and also have it on Blender. Sure. Forward is this, up is that, selected one. Don't have any modifiers, so it doesn't really matter. Properties viewport, not sure what that means. Not sure what this. Normals, yes. Material, yes. So here I could actually export it without all of these things. And usually what I would do in this part is I would probably save preset by just clicking this plus button, name it, and every time I export the low poly, I can just use the preset. But I'm not going to do this for this project. Really no need, since it's just this one model. I say, no, let's go. All right. Now we're going to go and do the same for you. Yeah, MTL is fine. That's material. We're going to do this. Yes, yes. Let's just do that. That went quick. Okay. Let's save. Then we need this. Oh, like that. Actually, have I? I haven't even shown you the proper. Amazing. All right, so I'm gonna be famous for this type of thing because I do it every time. Something with every stream. Every stream. I mean, it's either the audio, it's either the lighting, it's either the music, it's either these type of thing. I haven't shown you the maybe not the most important part, but parts of Blender are it's the same thing with this one. No, this one's fine. Either way, let's just move on. Ignore it. Ignore everything I just did. Just ignore it. All right. Okay, so should I just create a new one just in case? Okay, select template. Okay, so it's been a while, so we need to figure this out. I'm gonna go with the Unreal. I usually go with Unreal. That's my engine of choice. We're gonna select, which I believe is the low poly. And DocRes 248. DirectX, yes. Yes. No. Don't need bake maps because we're going to do some baking. I think that's it. All right. And I do believe it's F buttons, F1, F2, F3. Right. Gets right click. Okay. Let's skip this song. Not in the mood for that one right now. Not sure if this is better, but let's go with it. Modes, bake mesh map. Okay. It's right there. Texture set, stream rock 1. Output. Let's go with 248. If it's production stuff, I would probably go one above the final output. But we are not in need of that right now. Dilation width. Let's try 32. Not sure if we need it, but let's try it. I'm gonna add a high poly. Okay. Okay, that's cool. Perhaps, so these two settings, at least in designer, and I assume it's the same for painter, you don't want to bump these up too much. You want to be quite careful with the amount of bump you go with this one. It's simply put, I would say it's the distance uh, paint looks, like. So how far out from the low poly will painters kind of look for details and bake down? If the high poly is within these details, whether it's outwards or inwards, because that's what we have. We have frontal distance and rear distances back and forth. If it's outside, if the high poly is outside of these details, these ranges, it will not bake those details down to the normal map. So you need to crank this up until you get all the details. But at the same time, if you have a crack, let's go to this. So if you have, and this is just a slice of that deal. So let's say you have a crack. Well, let's start with this. Let's say you have a crack. It looks like this, right? And you have this, and you have the shades. You have a crack. From the side, or if you slice it like this, it will look like a V, right? Now, if you start to use the frontal distance, it will start looking like this. It will have something like this. Actually, we can be more like that. It will start crossing a bit because if we look at this plane and move outwards with a certain amount, and eventually these planes will start to intersect. And if you go too far, it will probably look something like, well, roughly like this. And in this area, what detail is baked down will become like this Lovecraftian who knows. The computer don't know which detail should I use, so we start overlapping each other. So that's something you want to look out for. But I think I'm fine. I don't have a lot of those. We can kind of see if we can find. Well, you can already tell here. Start to intersect. I'm not sure. Is it because of this? There you go. Oh. So perhaps a 01 was actually the best choice. So we might actually see some overlapping and artifacts in those areas. There you go. Match by mesh name. Ignore anti-aliasing. I would usually never go above 4. Perhaps there's a reason to do that, but I haven't really found one. So what can we do now? We don't need, or do we? We can skip ID. We don't have a need for that. Yes, yes. These last two, they're fun to work with. They're usually never, in my experience, absolutely necessary. You can get away with normal ambient curvature. But there's a few fun things we can do with that. You have thickness, which gives you a black and white texture. I'm not sure how it determines what thickness it is. It might be the distance to the center of the piece or something like that. It just looks at everything and it determines, oh, this part is thicker than the other part. Well, therefore, it has a different value, which could be fun to work with. Because if you have a mesh with a variation of these values, you can start creating variations in your textures. So it will be more used to drive certain filters or masks rather than the final like base color or something like that. You probably don't need position. And position is more like where I think it's determining. I'm not sure about position. Well, it has to do with position, but I don't know if it's the where in the world space the entire model is, or if it's based on per vertices. I'm not going to say too much about that. We're going to try it though. I think it could be useful in some filters. And let's just start baking. See what it looks like. That went by fast. Okay, so let's go back to painting mode, and it's automatically added the normal map, I believe. And this looks proper. Let's see. Yeah, we have the details, so you can tell. Okay. And paint on it, perfect. Let's see if we can find those textures we just created. That's fonts, environments, textures. We have ambient. Why is it by itself? Can I filter to that somehow? My assets? No. Project, there you go, project assets. So we have, yeah, the ambient, the curvature, the normal, the bent normals. No, that's the position. So you can see there's the similar colors to the bent normal. I mean, it uses purple, red, green, blue. And we can start masking out that. So if you isolate the red channel from this texture, perhaps we can get something fun. I assume it's just going to be, this is the left side, this is the right side, this is the top, this is the bottom type of thing. And then we have the thickness, similar to, actually very similar to the ambient, more or less a copy. So we might not use that. Then you have the bent normals, which will be useful. Probably more than the position one. All right. Maybe use this part. Perhaps that could be cool. Because I'm missing my... I used to have a rock pack, a set of materials, but can't find it. I mean, I know where it is, but it's just way too complicated to get it right now. So let's just see if we can find something fun. And if we can use that, let's try just rock. Erupted rocks. That's a cool idea. Can I try it? Or is this something completely different? It's a cool idea though. Yeah, but it's not going to work for what we're aiming for. Perhaps layered rock will be more interesting. Definitely more interesting. Let's try it out. See what we can get from it. Was that it? Never used this tool before. Okay, so you have the usual. Let's just see if we search for rock. Rock face? Didn't do much at all. What are we doing? Oh, there you go. Something happened. Hey. Let's see. Let's add a bit more tiling. Could be fun. One to use as a base. I assume we can do quite a bit of changes to it. Have hole density. Okay. Grain. It's kind of fun. Cracks. We can tone those back a bit. It's not perfect by any means. To start. we're definitely going to have to add a lot more stuff like various filters, um, edge details, cavity details, things like that. Okay. I'm not super happy with that though, so we might want to try something else. It didn't look like there were many other. Oh, there's our layered. Oh, cool. Oh, I can just click on it and it will show us. Oh, that's cool. I like that. This is a lot better though. I should go with something a bit less. 2 is a bit much. Do try to keep to full numbers or whole numbers. Could be fun to experiment with a different one. Just trying to think of like, is this a decent amount of the size of those details? Are they realistic? That said, I'm not sure how big this thing is. You can't tell. How big are you? So a 4 and 5. So it's not like a super huge asset. So it would occupy the majority of my apartment. Okay. So detail wise, if I were to put a person next to this, I guess it would be halfway up. So the details would have to reflect. Or if we go super low, imagine standing next to this thing. Like this. This is roughly, at least for me, that this would be the rough height of my eyes. Not line of sight, but I'll be up there at least. So if we start looking, what will feel perhaps something like this? Yeah. We can always dial this in later on, but I feel like a 3. Let's do a 4. We're close to 4. This is a cool effect. Can I, on the other hand, look purely on the base color? I think I can. Is it B? It's ambient occlusion. It would be nice to have a bit more details. Looking at it right now, probably would have had to add a bit more details in these sections because it's just there's no detail at all, at least when it comes to the ambient occlusion. And thickness, there we go. The thickness is fun. We can definitely do something with this. It's not horrendous when it comes to the. I don't really tell where the seams are. Are there no normal stuff? And I only, there we go, mesh maps. This is one we'll look at. So, or you can straight away see where we have one of our seams. It's not aligning up perfectly. I'm not going to say it's horrendous because it's not. So if I do this, it's barely visible. And that could be because of the smart material, because it might be using some cool stuff to compensate, but it's really hard to tell. This one is easier to tell, but from a distance and with a bit more work, we might never see this one again. So I'm not too worried about any of these. So let's see if we can find one that's a bit more obvious. None so far. Yeah, underneath it, so skip that. No, I think we're fine. One thing I would love to see is one of the cracks. So there's a specific crack. Where are you though? That I added mostly just for the hell of it. I don't remember where I put those. I think it was on one of the larger surface areas. Kind of curious what it looks like. Oh well, I can't see it. All right, so let's go to this part. Perhaps I can increase the lights a bit. Can I do that? I should be able to do that. All right, while I was on water break, I actually brewed some coffee, so I'll fetch that. Be back in just a second. Ooh, hot. Good though. It's good. Okay. So we have a base. We can adjust that base. We can turn on off the roughness. We can do metalness. Attribute stuff. Just making sure we know what we're doing with this one. So the approach we can go for, we could either start adjusting the base as it is, which we might do, or we could leave it as is and start adding details on top of it instead. Not sure which is the best approach. Would like a bit more. I do tend to like adding a bit more glossiness or less roughness to my detail, like at least in the details parts. And if we go up, I should be lowering. And it's kind of more so the lights have a bit more detail to work with. Not sure if this works. As you can tell, I mean, this is not correct, but it gives it when done subtly, well, like very carefully, we could add a bit more interest to the model. 0.45. Let's go with that. Can't really tell much difference. And what about the range? What are you? Let's see if nothing happening. So let's just keep you at default. Color though. Okay. So we could look at a reference. See if we can find a cool color. I'm not super hyped on the brown rock. So I know it's locked. No, it's not. So we have this. All right, here we go. Where's a good spot? Let's go with that. So we have this rock. This is what we based everything out. Could try and replicate that to an extent. Or we could pick any of the other rocks. All of them are pretty dark in color. This is a cool one. Could try this. It's kind of cool color, isn't it? Yeah. All right. But what is that color? I would say it's a bit black. Question is, what is color 2? No clue. Okay. That's okay. Whatever color that is. I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, so you would be more of the highlights. All right. What's in color 1? I would assume would be the base, or perhaps not. But we want you to be somewhat the darker spots. Yeah, this is kind of cool. Oh, are they adapting? Looks like it. That's a really cool effect if that's true. They seem to adapt to the... No, never mind. I mistook. I thought these were going like, oh, it looks kind of like the base, the first color, but no. This looks more like a rock to me. So, looking at these, oh, these details are more akin to these things. So, what if we brighten them up even more? Feels pretty good. I'm not sure what these height stuff does. They don't seem to do much at all. That's recently because of this. Oh, right. Okay. That makes sense. That makes a ton of sense. Height range. Do I want to keep the range? I'm trying to remember my designer skills here. So range would be whether like between 0 and 1, right? So I assume by lowering this, I hopefully see some effect. Yeah, there's some effect going on. Position. What are you doing? Will that be position like a hierarchy thing? If you're 0.5 all of them. Let's turn all of these off. Let's see if we can introduce one at a time. My experience with heights in Painter isn't the best. I prefer to use pure normals most of the time, but I mean, there could be some changes being made, so let's see if we can play around with it. Bump it up. I can't really tell what's happening. Oh, there we go. Some details. Okay, that's way too much though. So what? This is kind of what I don't like about it. This to me is not nice details. I prefer this. It might be the resolution of the texture though, so shouldn't be too hard on Painter. That could be nice, just a small hint of it. That's a bit more. Okay, well we can be careful. Be careful. Sure what these are. Seems to be a bit smaller micro details. Yeah. we're gonna be careful because I can't really tell what these are doing. So sparse. It's not bad. But I do want to emphasize the edges and things like that, and also add a bit more variation when it comes to the normals. Oh, sorry, the roughness, and adds like what do you call it, like cavity details. And can we do this? What if we turn all of these down a bit? There is a base, apparently. Okay. Let's turn this up. Color one. I would have loved if this was more called, I mean, it's called color one. Doesn't tell me a lot. Is it the base color? Is it the cavity color? Is it the, I would, a more descriptive name would be nice. Not a terrible texture by material by any means. I kind of like it. It's just one nitpicky thing. It's like, give me more descriptive names. Let's just add these back. And I do have roughness values I can adjust. That's nice. And what warrior again? Do we were some kind of, okay, we can play with that. Being careful when you add these things can really enhance. Personally, I think it can enhance your the look of your asset quite a bit. Roughness does a lot, so if you can master roughness, I haven't, but if you can really get some cool stuff going. There we go. I mean, purely from a roughness standpoint, I think this looks more interesting than what it did before. I would love to see a bit more glossiness though. Let's try, which one? What if we lower you quite a bit? Until that's actually what we could do. That's a technique I learned way back. Is you would add, I mean, I guess lay could work. No, lay doesn't work. And you turn off. Yeah, so you only want color. You want to make it completely black. Like this. Because what you would get is the roughness shines through a bit more. So adjusting that now, we can kind of tell. That's way too much, but we can get some more control, hopefully. What happened? It was base, the default was 50, right? So there's no life in it at all. So if we lower it back to, let's say 0.4, I would say there's more life to the surface now. I mean, it is rock. Rocks are flat when it comes to roughness, right? Well, at least my impression is that they're flat. But we're creating our rock, our stuff. It looked more interesting this way. Ah, that's kind of interesting. Might be the lighting. Either way, we have a base. We can tweak this all day. But I don't have all day. So just gonna double check a few things. We could try and add a bit more normal density. Yeah, well, that's way too much. A bit more than 0.5 though. Yes. Hand range, high position. Don't need to use shoe shift. Not interested in that. Channels. Specular. I don't need that. Seed random. Oh, here we go. Not sure what that did. My height is so subtle, it makes barely any difference. We're trying offset. Something like that. Doesn't look like much now, but we're getting there. It's true. And add. Okay, so I'm trying to remember now. I want to look at the curvature. The way we should do this. Do I want to use a text? Hey Nathan, how you doing? Sorry, man, I'm so into my stuff here. You've been here for long? No, I'm pretty sure I looked at chat a few minutes ago. Then again, an hour might have passed. How you doing? Perhaps we try a layer instead. Can't remember what it does though. No. We're going to do this, and we're going to go with a mask, I think. Because I can't really just add the curvature, can I? I mean, I can. That works quite well. Behind me. But we also need to adjust blending option. Not div. I'm assuming it's going to be either add or screen. Maybe not. All right, because okay. Yeah, all right. So Nathan, are you working on your game stuff? Game dev? Roblox, was it right? I talked a bit about Roblox this morning, or at the beginning of the stream. Saw some really cool, mind-blowing, I should say, details. At least on the the business side of Roblox. There's something like one type of game had 20 million concurrent players. the company itself was worth like $70 billion or something along those lines. Absolutely insane. Let's on the black mask and I believe it's a fill layer. I'm gonna add this in again. Next, I believe it's a filter because we want to use the. It's not the level. It's not the filter. Or actually, filter has the histogram scan, right? Does. There is a way to. There you go. Alt allows me to look at the mask itself. I want to really isolate the white colors. Perhaps something like that. There we go. Okay. Color's way off. I'm gonna have to fix that. It's a start. We need to tone it down quite a lot. Perhaps we can use the white, but we can tone down opacity. No, we're gonna not use white. We can sample a color though. I'm gonna sample a fairly bright one. That's good, but I want to make it a bit brighter than this. Yeah, the edge or the curvature texture does quite a lot to like enhance the rock feel. And I think we could even push. So that's a bit much. Turn that in a bit. Lower the opacity. It'd be quite subtle. Noticeable, but subtle. Like we can see the difference. It really enhances something I've mentioned a lot during this process. The plane effect, or we want to enhance the planes. Like you have one big plane in this area, you have an even larger one over here. They are all part of what makes like a rock, like identifiable, like what we usually think of when we see a rock, or a rock completely round. That could also be an option, but when it comes to these not round rocks, you would look for these really visually striking planes. But perhaps we could lower it a little bit, just to tell people, hey, there is a transition happening. Yeah, let's go with that. Now, okay, do I want to let's just do this curve. Sure. And let's duplicate this, but we're gonna move you above and turn you off. Actually, we can remove you. So I'm gonna create a AMB OCC, an ambient occlusion, or occlusion. Well, let's just call it occlusion. Easier to read. And in fill, we want to replace you with the ambient occlusion. And I assume we want to flip you. Can I do that using the histogram scan, or do I need to? There you go, levels is right there. Do an invert. There we go. What type of color do you want in the crevices though? I assume a darker one. But it might be fun to add a bit of color to it. Let's see, what colors are we using? We're using what? Reddish, yellowish colors, like a mix of it, because that makes brown, right? So an opposite of that will be purple, green, perhaps even a hint of blue, depending on various factors, of course. But can we look at that? Can I get a wheel? I can't. So if we're roughly in this part, I assume, would this be the opposite? Is blue the opposite of yellow on the spectrum? I thought it was purple. I mean, it kind of is purple, isn't it? Not sure if I want to go that direction though. We could go with dark bluish tone, perhaps. You know what? We could try it. Dark bluish tone. That could be particularly realistic going that route, but might give some interesting tones. Rather than ledge, we're definitely going to multiply. So what does that look like? Base color. It's really, really subtle. Let's see if what happens if we just increase the saturation. Not much, apparently. There you go, some difference, but because we're using a multiply, yeah. Perhaps we should go with a reddish color. There's a chance. Oh, that was not what I wanted. Actually, let's do this. We might have to play around with mask a bit because it's not perfect right now. Let's increase some values. Carefully though, because it's still ambient occlusion. Well, actually, it's not really the ambient occlusion effect I'm after. I'm after what it's captured in those crevices. Now that I think of it, perhaps the curvature map might be better suited for this. It's a bit too sharp, isn't it? What about the thickness? Thickness gives similar. It's more on the edges. Okay, that's cool. And if I flip it, this could be a cool effect to kind of add. Okay, I'll consider this one, but we'll go back to the occlusion. And we're gonna flip it. And we're gonna look at results. Bit too much. Tone it down. That's a lot better. We don't want the, like, since we're working with PBR, physically based rendering, we don't want the occlusion to be too strong in the albedo. Preferably there should be no shadows in the albedo, but it just enhances it a bit. Okay, so now I want to play around with okay, let's try this. We're gonna hide these. Gonna add a new layer, new fill. And we're gonna try the thickness. All right, I do have the option to play around. Hey, Pounce. Well, thanks. How you doing? Well, we're just getting started though, so hopefully you can look forward to the final results. I mean, it's way too long since I worked in Substance Painter 2, so I'm kind of learning things all over again. And right now, I want to see if I can get this thickness map to work for me. Which means I need to flip this. And almost lost my train of thought. I need to try a different blending option. See if we can find someone. That's kind of cool, which is the ad, of course. Let's try the screen though. It's usually a bit subtle. Actually, overlay could be a cool one if used correctly, and I haven't used it correctly. There you go. Black mask. We need to do this way. Thought it would look kind of weird. There we go. Perhaps it wasn't that weird. Levels. Invert. That looks better. That's more what I'm looking for. Perhaps we should. Oh, okay. You're using the Quixel suit. Hasn't that been, I wouldn't say discontinued, but not updated for like years? I know the Quixel mixer, but that's not the same thing, isn't it? I used to use the suit as a plugin for Photoshop. It kind of dates me. Oh, the mixer and true. That's kind of cool. I mean, Megascan's an Epic. Epic like does a lot of those cool stuff. But Quixel used to be. I liked them back in the days, but since they used a plugin for Photoshop, it's just crashed all the time. Not updated since 2020. It's hard to compete with Adobe, well, Substance, and now Adobe. Oh, yeah, D2. Oh, that thing. Oh God, haven't thought of D2 or Endo. That's the other one, the normal baking one. I haven't thought of those two in quite some time. Yeah, same. Wow. Now I'm kind of curious. Is that still available? It shouldn't be, right? But it's the internet. There's always something you can find and see if it works. I can't see it working with yeah, I can't see it working with the Photoshop as it is today. No, you don't think so? Probably not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How long has that been though? I was back in university. This is probably 2010 or something like that. More than 15 years. That's insane. Well, you made me feel old, so thank you. 2012. Yeah. Well, then welcome to this old man stream. Yeah, I had another thing that kind of got me feeling like I need a cane. Things like that. Thanks. I saw this video, a YouTuber who streamed. He talked about Roblox. I know very little of Roblox, but he mentioned that it's kind of the future for gaming. Like, really? Yeah. Because the way we consume content back in the days, you bought disc and everything like that, that type of thing is just going away. Now it's platform based. So everyone's going to be on the platform and play games, and then they're going to be, you can create games on the platform. So rather than going to the shop, buy the latest God of War or whatever you played, you're not like, oh, someone released a new game on my platform, and I'm going to stick to that platform for the rest of my life. Like, okay, that's a different way of looking at it. And for me, that's not what I want to do, but it's insane how many people play Roblox and things like that. So that made me feel old, knowing that the future of the gaming industry has nothing to do with me. Actually, that's the name of the game they took up as a example, the gardening game. I think it was like 20 million concurrent players when it peaked. 20 million. That's insane. I can't think of any other game apart from maybe Call of Duty when it was at its peak that came close to those numbers. So it's insane. Let's see. I want some yellow tones to this. It's really subtle. It isn't even coming through. Perhaps overlay isn't the one. Screen is definitely not the one. Oh, it's still... Oh, that makes sense. True. Just have to adapt. Well, it makes me feel like I've been harsh on my dad growing up, because he's going through what I'm going through right now. The world is changing and we just have to live with it. Right? But hey, there's a place for me in this world still, so I'm gonna keep my head up high and just walk through it. Leave the rest, the other one, to the next generation. Okay, not 100% sure about this, but perhaps if I make it a bit more subtle. Actually, we can try the overlay now. Nope, nope, can't. That's way too relatable. Actually, I don't even know the music, what's popular nowadays. I heard a name the other day, and apparently that was one of the biggest stars, apart from Taylor Swift. And I was like, who? I have no idea. I was so out of the loop. I used to have some inkling of what was popular, although I never was a big pop consumer. I was more heavy metal, or still is. Yeah. This stream has turned into like two old men complaining. It's kind of fun. I like that. See what it does on YouTube though. But we'll see. Maybe it's fun to listen to old men. That used to be a thing back in the day. What is that thing you added in my chat? It looks oddly inappropriate. I like it. That was back in the day. I was thinking it used to be a show. I don't know about a zombie. Okay. So it used to be, I think it was called Four Grumpy Old Men or something like that. I'm not sure if it's outside of a Europe thing. Glow sticks. Yeah, okay, glow sticks. Yeah, it was. Okay, so we heard of it, I think. I mean, I'm not sure if it's the proper name of it. I do have like a memory of old men probably my age now, sitting in chair complaining, and that's all they did. It could be the smallest thing. They found at least 2 hours of complaints. That's amazing. Probably should look that up. I think there's maybe that's the future for me. Podcast of an old man complaining. But I need to swap up a few of my clothes now. I need some old man clothes. Perhaps this is old man clothes. I don't know. Have to ask the younger generation for that. Let's see. I'm glad I could make your day, if only for like a few minutes. That my rock gave that impression. It's been something I've worked on for like 2 days now. This is the hopefully the third and last day, but we'll see. Texturing tends to drag out a bit because you can do so much things. Just add and add to it. Thanks. I appreciate it. Hopefully, yeah. Well, I mean, I've done it for like 15 years, closing on 20, so. Hey, Shrill. It looks quite rocky in here. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And perhaps you can join our old man discussion. I don't know. Maybe you're not an old man. Apparently, me and Pounds, we have reached a level of age where we're considered old man talk. Hopefully, we're not boring people, but I think there's a niche of people liking old men complaining. Well, I'm glad you guys are here. It's fun having someone to complain to. That's a good opportunity, by the way. Bit technical. Just bear with me. Is the music all right for you guys? The sound. I can't, for my life, figure out how to check it for myself. This is really. No, I'm a proper old man. I can't understand this technology. If it's good, bad, please let me know. But other than that, that's all I'll have to ask. The main character. That would be something. Perhaps a boring game, but it would be something. So usually what I do on this channel is that I work on a horror game, but I'm kind of stuck. So I decided to swap up a bit and try something else. So for the past 2-3 scenes, I've tried to entertain people with Zbrush, some Blender stuff, and it's really hard to entertain when you talk about UV mapping. It's not a fun topic. So I'm just throwing out old man knowledge to people. So hopefully this could be a thing going forward. Didn't see much on Twitch for a gaming and software tag when it came to like modeling. That's probably more of the art. The thing the 3D modeling gets. That's one thing I would love if AI could just take away. Just let me skip UV mapping. It's not fun. Or perhaps there's someone out there who thinks it's one of the most fun thing ever, but for me, it's just no. I don't want to have anything to do with. But yeah, so hopefully I can get back to that horror game eventually. It's been on my bucket list for quite some time to create my own horror game. You know, in today's gaming landscape, I can see that working, and it could be kind of fun. I saw, I don't know why my head goes this way, but I saw this old YouTube video Let's Play where they were playing a game, a dating sim, but you were flirting with a Tyrannosaurus. So why not? Why not rock? And if you go even further back in time, this is even before my time, you have pet rocks. So I mean, you're not way off there, Shrill. That perhaps it is something to look into. Who knows? All right, nice. Can't say I know too much about The Room, but Silent Hill though, that's definitely a name. That could be really cool. Is that one of these infinity corridor slash rooms? No, I'm way off, I think. Silent Hill. I need to see if I can. I've seen some of this before. Oh, the PS2. It had a bit of a resurgent, the PS2 graphics. Did you see uh, the port of Bloodborne to PlayStation 2 graphics? That was really cool. Here we go. Yeah, I don't recognize this, but I do feel it's very typically Silent Hill. Perhaps more relatable to me is the demo that was never made, or the demo was made, but the game. Yeah. Okay. You're cooking here, Shril. Okay. So, well, the mind will be a dwarf then, I guess, with some crazy eyes, and he's trying to get the gold out of me. Uh, it's quite silly in my head, but there's a lot of stuff in my head that's silly. I think it's an amazing idea, Bounce. It looks cool. PT, that's the name of the game I was thinking of. There's some PT-esque lighting in it. And that's really cool. I like that. And of course, it's a bathroom. PT did the bathroom. Well, you have to get to get through the physics of a rock running, Shrill, but it doesn't sound too much of a challenge. We can make that work. Maybe it's just rolling around, I guess. Yeah, Pounce, if you can make like, if you get half the quality, like a tenth of the quality of PT, or in this, you're onto something. That's a really fun idea. I don't know why, but that door keeps coming up on all images on Google. Same chained door. Is that something to do with the main storyline? You don't want to get by, or you're probably going to get out? Do you want it so... Okay. So your main goal is to get out, I guess. And of course, there's people who are no longer 100% healthy in all images. Silent Hill. That's cool stuff. Let's see. So far, I've been going back and forth between 2 or 3 ideas, but the main idea is still you have this inspirational mechanic from Amnesia, The Dark Descent, where you have sanity stuff, right? If you get too insane, you're in danger and probably gonna die, right? Or pass out. I don't know. Can't remember if you died or passed out in Amnesia, but either way, the idea of to work with the insanity stuff, and since programming AI and creatures hunting you is way out of my league. I'm not a programmer at heart, so I want to keep it simple, or in my head, I thought it was simple at least. So I want to keep to the Lovecraftian stuff where you have visions and like post-process effects, like general VFX effects just popping up in certain times depending on how sane or insane you are. And at this stage, I think the theme, like the storyline, would be like has something to do with a watchtower. So you would be isolated on an island with a watchtower. It's not new. It's not like innovative stuff, but I think that could be within my span of experience. And considering I'm the only one developing this, I want to keep it really the scope. I want to keep it down as much as possible. So there's going to be a lot of borrowing stuff from Megascans because I do like the more realistic approach. So we'll see. So right now in my head, I do have a feeling I want to go for. Well, thanks, Bounce. I do think there's potential in the idea. Or did you? So one big inspirational source is one Siren Head game that was released, I would say 6-7 years ago by now, and you're walking through a dim, desaturated forest. So I want that feeling. Yeah, well, yeah, that's the gist of it. Though the part of AI Ghost, that's a part. So having a trigger saying, "Hey, now chase the main character or the player." That's not the hard part for me. I don't know how to create the AI itself, like code its behavior, telling it to go around stuff or interact with certain things a certain way. That's the part where I feel like that will be outside of my scope and outside of my experiences. So I was thinking, let's remove that. And also, one big thing, I don't want players, if possible, to see what's hunting them, because that's a feedback I've seen many players have given in Let's Play, things like that. Once they've seen the ghost and experienced it, it starts to get less scary. That might be an impossibility to avoid that, but I hope to at least reduce that feeling. Sure, I can see it, yeah. But then again, I don't have an experience with state tree. But like I said, you could probably, with the right experience, tell me, do this, do that. Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And there's definitely a solution for it. And perhaps we'll see what I can come up with in the next few days or week. Storyline wise, maybe I would have to bite the bullet and you say, you know what? 50% of my development time will be AI. And perhaps not that much. It might just be me scared of the unknown. I've never done it before, so I have no idea how long it would take with someone with my experience. All right. Well, you're starting to convince me a bit here, Shrill. At least a little bit. Still on the fence. And perhaps I should look more into it. Take perhaps a week or so just to go through a few tutorials. It's still, though, even if I go for the ghost, AI monster, whatever, it's still the concept of once they've seen it, the player, once they've seen the ghost, the monster, then what? Will they slowly start to feel it's getting repetitive or less scary? That's the part I'm more concerned with. But yeah, I guess that's the gist of my idea so far, and the analyst, the perfectionist in me, just wants to make everything, add stuff, the lighting, the sound, the VFX, everything like that. But I just need to focus on one thing, and sound. That seems to be one of the big thing when it comes to horror. Fair enough. That's a good point. That's a good point, Real. So would you say, like, if you had to pick between sound design or a well-designed AI, that will be chasing you or interact with the player. Which one would be most interesting for a horror game? I'm leaning definitely into sound design. That will be, I think that has more value than anything in horror game, like creaking sound, whispering, voices, things like that. I think so too. I mean, it seems to be a common theme when you listen to people. Yeah, it comes back to that sound. And that's another beast I had never touched before. And also then you have to find the sound, the source, because I'm not going to sit down with a mic and make those sounds. That's not scary. Can you imagine me making scary noises? Yeah. Always the top thing. Yeah. And I've never done that in Unreal, so that's time I need to take off. Then I need to find the sound or pay for it. There's a few really good places. Really? I haven't looked yet, so I didn't actually consider YouTube. That's a good stuff. All right, and that's free to use stuff, because that's also always a concern, copyright stuff. Then again, if I don't plan on monetizing my game, so this is my first one. There was another place. I think it was my brother recommended a website specific for game assets. Sound was one of them. I looked it up. This is like a year ago, and that I do want to remember that I didn't like all of the signs, but all right. I always forget about Humble Bundle. That's true. They really push out a lot of assets for people. I probably should look at it right now just to make sure. Might forget. Okay. Free to use sounds. Okay, I'll look into that. So awesome stuff from both. I did, however, when it comes to like free stuff on YouTube or any source, I guess, there's this thing that I can't remember the exact details, but I became a bit more concerned about copyright after I saw that video. Like the playlist I'm playing right now, it's the non-copyright sound something, and they can still copy strike you afterwards. It's up to the creator. Even if they tell you it's free, they can retroactively go back and tell you, nope, it's no longer free. That's the gist I got from that video, but take it with a grain of salt. True, that would take a lot of like the stress out of like downloading stuff. If it could be a professional license, I would do rather pay for it and have it without any concerns. Yeah, exactly. It's still, as far as I understood it, not technically allowed to play copyright music on Twitch, but it seems like it's haven't been struck. No channels has been struck for like 3 or 4 years. So people will just like, yeah, never mind. I do have that setting too, the OBS, Twitch OBS sound channels thing. So none of my VODs have the music. I add music afterwards, making sure it's properly copyright free. Streambeat, okay. I'm learning a lot of good stuff here. It's only been like 2 months since I started streaming, so there's a lot, it's a lot of things I need to keep track of. I mean, this is only my second stream with a green screen, which is, I assume it's not necessary, but it took me like 2 months to get to the point where I felt comfortable buying one. Let's see, Streambeat, Humble Bundle. What's the other one? Was it free to use YouTube? I'll need to keep these tabs up or I'll forget them. There we go. All right. Oh shit, so you're experienced then. Wait, so that's another thing I need to look up then. I assume, Shrill, you're streaming on Twitch. Oh, your name pops up. Wait, what? I first read that as 1K viewers, but are you saying 1,000 videos? Is that what you're saying? Dude, you could be like the guru. Over 1,000 videos. That's amazing. That's insane. So you've mastered the entire algorithm then? Well, it keeps changing, sure, certainly, but... All right. Well, I'll definitely check your stuff out. Because there's a lot of good tips coming from you, and of course, Pounds, you too. All good stuff in chat right now. Makes me feel like I need to... you don't... Oh, you're not chasing it? That's good. I think that's... mentally, that's probably probably what you shouldn't be doing, chasing algorithm. Yeah, I've also heard short form, but then again, I also heard that you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket. But then it doesn't seem like anyone's necessarily against shorts, so definitely going shorts seems to be like a good way forward. I think my first video on my official channel was a poorly made short where I discussed my idea, the horror game stuff, and it got, I think it was 1,500 views, which for a short is nothing, considering the monetization requirements, which is, I think, 4 million in 90 days, right? Something like that. 4 million views in 90 days. So you're also then a content creator, Pounds? Or you're just consuming like I used to do? It still does. It can't stop consuming. Yep. Nothing wrong with that. It can be fun, actually, going into setting up... yeah, I think that's probably the best mental state or mental, like, way you can approach YouTube. You just don't care. You just have fun with it. All right. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. It would. It also sounds quite boring to do 500 videos of the same topic. I guess that's the name of the game. You could probably create... Perhaps you can do a second channel for random shit. If you're like, I need to get this out of me. I need to get this dumb idea out of me. So just upload it to this other channel. And then you have 500 of the same niched content on the other one. I just realized I haven't touched my rock in quite some time. Can't remember what I was doing. I think I was working on the thickness stuff. Sure. I do want to Okay, Shrill, I'm trying to decipher what you just said there. Like, I'm making horror game part 1 to the 4. That part is, and so on, not what I. Oh, okay, okay. I got it. I got it. Okay. So your release schedule then, this quite a distance between each part, because I can't like imagine doing one every week. Just post random shit. Yeah. Why not? Right? Isn't that what makes YouTube YouTube? Because the big thing about the name is you, what you want to post on this channel. Like it is killing the creative stuff when you go for the algorithm. I can see why people do it, because there is money in it, and you can with determination and time be quite successful. But yeah, like you said, Pounce, the YouTube stuff, right? Uh, Being you, that's the fun part. I mean, with your experience, really, I think that's a good idea. The hard part about doing tutorials is being like consistent and like me, who, well, not like me, poorly explaining things. But if you can do that, if you can explain well, then I think you can really make it as a tutorial maker. But yeah, it's all up to you, though, wouldn't it? If you don't want to, if streaming and YouTube isn't a job for you, then why not just do whenever you want to? And unfortunately, sure, your followers don't get to see the things they want to see, like all they want more content, I assume. If you just want to stream every now and then, just have fun with it, maybe that's why you're successful. And if you start doing that, maybe your followers will see, Pounds what's best when he just did it because he wanted to. That's why they follow you. Absolutely. And if you're streaming, you can probably do both, right? I mean, maybe it wouldn't be fun for your followers to see you doing a recording of tutorial while you're streaming, but it could be efficient to do both at the same time. I've considered it. But if I'm doing these things, talking to you guys and trying to make a tutorial at the same time, it's not going to be a good tutorial, is it? Like, I can always cut it out, but then I have to go back to the tutorial again. It's like, okay, where was I? Oh, have I talked about this thing? I can't remember. But that's an option. And you can just try it out. Just do one thing. Maybe not the streaming part, but you can always do let's just make one video. See what takes me. See if it's even fun. That's where I started. Is it even fun? And it was fun. Therefore, I'm doing it. But yeah. If you release a tutorial, I'll be there. I'll see it. I'll definitely watch. There you go. I mean, I've seen it before. This is not my idea. I've heard it from other YouTubers. Just do it. Just do it while live. Like, if people want to watch, they want to watch, but you need to work. You need to do your thing. You need to get this content out. Well, that sounded way too industrial. Like, I mean, you have an expression. You want to express yourself, and you want to do it with a video. So if people want to watch at the same time, you're welcome. But I need to do this. I need to get this out of me. Sounds like creativity is this kind of bad thing. Just get it out of me. Just get it out. No, that's definitely not what I mean. Creativity is what I live for. Yeah. Fun. I love to hear that and see that people there are others like me out there. Of course they are, but another thing talking to them. Yeah. But how you do it and the way you approach that output is important. If you do it because you feel obligated, then I don't think that's a good idea. A good approach. You need to be more, I want to say something, I want to express something. So I do through video. So get it out. Just don't worry about what might happen or might not happen. If you have something to say, just put it on video, just get it out. At least that's been my approach. All right, wait. That's another thing I can't say I've seen before. I have seen a few of the streamers I follow. They play some kind of mecha game. Yeah, this is a quite new release, isn't it? This is a side of the gaming world I haven't really touched myself. I know about it, the idea of getting ranks. Then again, I've played World of Warcraft for 15 years. Probably there's some correlations between those ideas of getting ranks and levels. But it looks amazing. This game looks absolutely stunning, though. And at the risk of alienating half the internet, mechs has never been my thing. Don't know why. As a 3D model, it definitely it's really cool. A lot of details, a lot of cool techniques has to be used to create these mechs. Is your hidden agenda suddenly popping out here, Srill? Are you looking for... Are you using my stream to recruit people? Is that what's happening? Or am I reading too much into it? Insanity. All right, I need to get... True. That is true. It's not many mecha breakers here, I guess. Is that the term you use for yourself, a mecha breaker? If anything, I'm going to coin it right now. From now on. Just so you know. Let's see if I can get something cool. I would love to add... I want to add more colors to this thing. Red is perhaps a bit too much. What we could do... Time is it, by the way? Oh, shit. I usually only stream till 8:30, but you're having fun, right? Let's see. Seems like there's gonna be... Oh, that's the same nice... Yeah, it was quite the detour we took there, right? But again, really appreciate you guys being here. It is one of the reasons I do this, just to have a conversation. Duck pilot recruits. I've seen a lot of rocks. This looks great already. I got your approval on that one. And Shrill, you're starting to sound like a hell diver. Are you secretly a hell diver? Recruiting for Super Earth, is that the name of it?
And also, this needs to get out there. I'm not sure if you two are using like some kind of tea lights when you stream or when you do content. I'm cooking right now. I'm sweating. It's really hot. Wonder how hot it is. I can kind of feel it when I put my hand towards it. It's insane. I'm not afraid that they will melt or anything, but I do feel it. I might have to ditch my sweater. I need to add paint option. A higher species of duck. Somehow, that's terrifying. Chicken is close. Oh, god dang it. Wait, what? I mean, first of all, a higher species of duck sounds terrifying because my head goes directly to, although they might not be a higher species, but the Canadian geese, not duck, I understand that, but they terrify me either way. And chicken, although they're closely related to dinosaur, as far as I understood it, don't really see them being teammates with ducks. I can see the other way around. I can see the ducks versus chickens. Yeah. What's the word for it? The dichotomy of a chicken's life or a dinosaur's life? Started as these epic dinosaurs. They turn into chicken. We kill the chicken. We make nuggets. But not only that, we make nuggets that look like dinosaurs. That's the thing. And it's not my observation, though. I should put it out there. But once I heard it, I can't really the full circle moment. Yeah, I guess you can call it full circle. Though the day a dino nugget starts to roar at me, I would consider that the full circle. But until that day, I'm gonna consider this an open ending. Yeah. So that fun. Oh, and about that, well, now I'm just now it looks like I had this super realization, but I just thought something. I went to really tangent right here, but I went to London a few weeks ago, and I went to the Natural History Museum, and then there I can see a few dino skeletons, and it's amazing. I always thought that it can't be that good. I was probably impressed, but I was blown away because I took images, I took videos, and I tried to show my parents, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, it looks kind of cool." I was like, "Yeah, but you have to understand, it looks way cooler in person than on images." You think it's a conspiracy that we secretly just want to feel powerful and therefore we eat dino nuggets? I mean, I'm gonna disagree on just because of one thing. At heart, especially men, we are children at heart, and children loves dinosaurs. They're cool, not because they're powerful, because they're cool. There's no really big thing about it. They're just cool. Therefore, as men, large grown-ups, but children at heart, we love dino nuggets. Therefore, not because it's powerful. Facts. There you go. About that. Where are you on the spectrum of the coolest dinosaur? T-Rex has nothing. I can eat you one bite. Not even your, what do you call it? Not ancestor, what the opposite of ancestor? It's on my tongue. Either way, let's skip it. Yeah. So if you have the chance, I'm not sure where you two are from. I'm guessing the States based on a few things. Pure guess. But if you ever have the chance to see a dinosaur bone or go to London and the Nature Museum. Can't remember the name of it. NHM or something like that. Do it. It's really cool. And there's a lot of other cool stuff too. It's not only the dinosaur bones, but that was the coolest part. So eating a whole dino in one bite, yeah, it's cool. But where do you start? The head, the tail, the legs? But you said the whole thing. Do you agree with that, Pounce? Would it be the whole thing, or would you go nibbling, really dominating the dino, telling it who's the boss? I can eat you whole right now, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna eat you slow, one bite at a time. I think I'm the former, but I can see the appeal of taking your time, really telling them who's the boss. Oh, okay. You like the dominance part. All right. That's fair. I can see the appeal. I can see the appeal. Absolutely. I need to keep in mind that my day has just started, so at some point I do need to end because I have stuff to do. It's just past 9 a.m. for me. I've been going since 6. It's kind of hard to find a time slot for me to stream. It's either way early in the morning, I assume cool as in noon, or again, if you're an American, that will be, I guess, midnight. Midnight then. All right, there you go. Midnight, yeah. I assume that, like, no, you would use the 12 if you're European, because if it's 12 noon, it would be 12, yeah. But if it's midnight, it's 00. And for a European, or for a European, I'm European too, so I know what's the military time works well for us. Oh, while we're on, just tracing back a bit to the topic of earlier or different sources, what music source do you use? I think Pounds, if I remember correctly, you mentioned that you kind of just play what you want and leaves it out of the VOD. Is that correct? Can't remember who said it. I'm using like YouTube Music right now, and their and the non-copyright playlist. It's not my type of music. I would love to have some more metal stuff. I don't know of a good source. You go YouTube and Spotify? Yeah. I guess I should probably... Too small to care. Yeah, I guess I'm in the same position. Well, I'm definitely small. I have 9 followers, I think. And usually this is the biggest crowd I have in a while. Yeah, you do. Oh, you go that way? Okay. In that direction. I should probably do it too. Because this list tends to... I hear the same songs over and over again. And since they are not my favorite, it tends to grind me down slowly. But perhaps there are some good metal, well, there's definitely good metal playlists on YouTube. But one that might not be copyright. All right. Well, the 80s, that's a broad term though. What type of 80s music are we talking about? Are we talking some Europe, some what's the name? Sweet Child of Mine band. God, what's their name? Please, Axl Rose / come on, Guns N' Roses. There you go. Oh, you go new wave? Okay. Guns N' Roses, yeah, exactly. What I do though for VODs, well, I didn't do it for the last one because no time, but I do go in and use YouTube Music. You can download their sound source on in the YouTube Studios, right? You can add that, and you have DaVinci Resolve as a free, really awesome software if you just want to go in and do some quick editing. But I've also uploaded it without sound. Any of you multi-streaming though? Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go. I would definitely look it up, Pounce, because there's some decent music, and DaVinci. There's a bit of a learning curve. I wouldn't say there's more than any other software, and it's like what you can do in it. It's absolutely astounding, and the fact that there's someone taking money for other softwares when this one's free is insane. Yeah, but I'm gonna probably my next update for this stream is gonna be multi-streaming. Seems first of all, it seems like I have the hardware for it. Another happiness. What is this meta? What is going on, Trail? They took our beta human meat shells. That's kind of scary. Wings popping out of the back of the human meat shell. What is this world you're creating? It's amazing. Angels. All right. That's one way of describing angels, I guess. It's not as horrific as the actual biblical description of angels, but that is one of the worst or one of the most horrific versions I've heard. I love it though. And that's the thing. If you haven't looked it up, it's kind of fascinating. The description of a biblical angel. It's not what you think it is. I believe it's just an eye with 1,000 wings or something like that. It's something. And just so you know, Shrill, I've never hurt a duck in my life. So please keep that in mind if you ever decide to do something about those humans. Well, me included. I don't mind. A few of them can go away, but please keep us duck-friendly meat shells. Is that what you call those? We'll like to get along. And Donald Duck is my favorite character in that universe. Heard, apparently, this is a theory. He has his voice because of his anger issues. But he is actually capable of normal speak, but because of his anger issues, he screamed his voice away, apparently. That's a sad story, a sad backstory for Mr. Donald Duck. Apparently, that seems to be canon. Not officially by Disney, though, but they've hinted at that reality. Gives you another appreciation for Donald. We'll see if it ever becomes canon. I haven't touched my rock in quite some time, so I'm thinking, what's this? Are you telling me you've integrated realistic, like a proper story into your meta world. All right, or maybe I should look at this the other way around. You're not doing the meta. You're actually telling me the truth. I never heard of this event though. It's kind of scary. All right. It's insane. Everything's more extreme in the US, whether or not it's man-made or natural. Like when it hails, it's golf balls. When it's warm, it's bloody boiling. And when I lived there, like in the Missouri area, when it was like moist in the humidity in the air, it's like I felt like I was swimming. Why can't there be anything just that's called average? You don't even have a word for it. We have a word in Swedish, we call it lagom, which means it's just good enough. Why isn't there anything like that in the US? Just good enough. It doesn't have to be the worst, it doesn't have to be the best. It can just be good enough. No. Oh, you want a gun? You want the biggest one or the smallest one? All right. You want to eat some food? You want the tastiest one or the one that tastes like salad? Kind of. There are some really good foods though in the US. I think my favorite one, which I'm really miss every day, it was a Dairy Queen's Blizzard Cup. I think it was called Blizzard Cup. It was thick as butter, ice cream, ton of stuff in it, a lot of like chocolate syrup. Oh god, for 2 years I lived in the US. I was studying, and during that time I gained, well, in kilograms it would like 20, 25 kilograms. In pounds, I would say probably 50 pounds. Everything just tasted so good, and it was open 24/7. It's like, oh, you have a car, it's 3 a.m. in the morning, you're a student, of course you're not sleeping. So let's just go and grab some ice cream. Oh yeah, how many calories? Probably 2,500 per cup. Oh, you want 2? Perfect. I was kind of my life for 2 years. No wonder there's stories, well, maybe it's a reality too, about people being big there. Yeah. God damn it. Where are you get? Do you have like a document for all of these things, Real? You're just throwing things at me right now. If yeah, exactly. It's like Duck Facts Nights. Yeah, that's a good one though. Duck and Luck. Oh god. All right. If I throw like a bread to ducks when I'm outside, am I like fine when the Duckageddon comes around? Can we like properly say that I'll be your friend if I threw you some bread? I haven't seen a duck in a while, though, but I can go to the nearest lake. There's not one far from here. I can donate a few loaves, no problem. Just know I'm not against ducks. Can I be against geese? Is that fine? I mean, I'm not saying I am. I'm just checking. Are we cool with geese? Are we talking family relation? I don't really know. Perhaps there's some relations between ducks and geese. Just want to make sure. Don't want to be that person. So if you can enlighten me on that part, that will be splendid. I'm not sure if you're slowly slipping into your natural language here. On plant quack quack. Um, go for it. I'm not worried. Like I said, I'm a friendly dark person. Human flesh, human shield. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. On planet quack quack. All right. What's the purpose of planet quack quack, or what can I expect? Are we looking at a highly evolved futuristic place, or more closer to Earth, natural shamanistic world? It would be interesting though to see a full realized quack quack. Bad ducks. There you go. Well, it was nice meeting you, Pounds, and hopefully I'll see you again. I definitely look forward to if we can have another chat. It was fun. And of course, have a good night. Sleep well. Oh, Shrill, that's a cool idea. Ambitious, but absolutely fucking amazing. That's cool as hell. Cheers, Bounce. How long have you worked on this, Shrill, or is it still on planning stage? Because that sounds like a fun thing to like work on together with chat. Have them do some like add some input to the world itself. I'm just going to take 20 seconds to grab another cup of coffee. I'll be right back. Sure, add one. I'll look at it once I'm back with a cup of coffee. Just realized I might actually have turned that option off. And I'm not sure how to adjust that. True. There you go. Something happened. All right, so how should we do this? No, I can see it. It's just trying to figure out whether or not to show it on stream because I don't have the sound for desktop on. We can just watch it without the sound, I guess. If you're fine with that, by the way, if I can show it on stream. Don't need sound. But you're fine with me showing, I guess. Well, I mean, it is out there, so anyone can actually find it. Let's see. Awesome. I can keep my music on. So let's see. You're going for full 14 galaxies? That's insane. So we're looking at each galaxy has a different theme then, I guess. I mean, that's really big. Really fun. What software is this, by the way? You're having a model in. All right. Okay. I mean, I love your ambition. It is a big project, but it could definitely be fun if you evolve it over like many years together with your community. And this is just something you just started. I've heard of that. I'm not super familiar with the, because I assume this is what's often referred to as VTubing. Um, that's my understanding, at least, because it looks like you were controlling a model, and that's you just started. All right, you just started with the universe thing. All right, cool. Are you then thinking that you will create all this by yourself, or are you going to allow your community to add content to it? Like, hey, I have a model. Can I have this part of the world to build with your permission, of course, and your approval once it's done, and then just show it off during a stream. Could be fun having like competitions and things like that. Allow people to grab a small part of the world, build it up, and then you can tell, hey, this part was made by this one, and that's my. Okay. I mean, I love the idea. It sounds like a lot of fun. Well, so I'm actually 1 hour past my usual schedule. Nothing to worry about. It's been a blast talking to you and Pounce. So I hope to see you guys again. And I'm definitely going to add you on Twitch. I need to remember that. Actually, I already have you up here on my tab. But I unfortunately really have to end this. And so we can start by saving our projects, I guess. Let's see, Stream Rock. Let's go with that. All right, so we're just going to swap over to this one. And in the meantime, I'm going to close these softwares. Blender, everything, we're all down. That's really cool. A 2D world, that could be really cool. And I'm guessing, is it the 3D part that concerns you regarding Unreal, or Unreal itself? Because I know Unreal tends to use a bit of GPU and things like that, and also takes disk space. It's quite big. I think it's almost 40 gig. But there's some 2D stuff in Unreal. Not the best, but it's decent. All right, let's see. We got something done today. Got some UV mapping and export to low poly. Yeah, exactly. Baking text. So this is now officially a work in progress. And this is going to be a fourth part. Okay. Yeah, that's very reasonable. If your computer can't handle 3D, then going that part that way is really, really smart. Was usually a common like technique back in the days. Like you had Final Fantasy, I think it started with either 7. I think it was 7, 7 and 8, and also 9. Used 2D backgrounds, environments to have the character run in. Well, not complete 2D. They were on 3D planes, but there was all images. And you can do some cool stuff. You can add like cut a few of the assets out, I guess, and have them slightly in front of other assets, which allows you to go behind them and interact a bit more with them, I guess. At least in my head, that seems to work. Oh, okay. So are you, because I saw when you were moving around, your hands were moving. So do you have one of those, I believe it's a tracking glove, isn't it? Or something along those lines. Don't know if that's the correct term. And you're sitting down, I guess, because I can't remember seeing your legs moving around. Webcam, okay. So similar to my setup then, but you have something else, I guess. I'm using a green screen. You're using blue then, and you have a way to track your hands. Okay. So the mocap then can recognize hand gestures and shapes and kind of, okay, so it's over there, or is it like an extra sensor on fingers and hands and arms, wrists? I guess is really important. Okay. Right. I mean, it's a fascinating technology, and that way of streaming has really blown up. From the way I see it, at least, like the past 3 years. Just that single software uses 4 gigs. Ouch. Yeah, that's quite a lot. I was considering using NVIDIA's broadcast app. I am using it right now for some noise gate things. Otherwise, I would have this beeping sound. I think that's fixed with that. But what you could also do is use the AI that's inside that program to green screen your without the green screen. It was quite good, but it also has a big GPU cost. It took like 70% of my GPU or something like that. Yeah, if it uses 4 gigs, I think I have 16 total in mine. But 4 gigs, that's a big chunk. I think for 3D, it's recommended to have bare minimum of 8, but 16 or probably even 32 is preferable. 12, that's probably above the minimum level, but if you want to go like Unreal and live mocap, I guess that's the only, no, live mocap, Unreal, and probably another 2-3 softwares on top of that. Yeah, 16 is probably your lowest then. And to be safe, 32. Which, budget-wise, isn't the biggest expense, but still, it could hurt. The wallet could definitely be emptied. I mean, living here in okay, I would love to tell you that that could work or not, but I don't have the experience. The 20 gig, I would say it works probably. Yeah, I tend to go with the idea of the more the merrier when it comes to like RAM. If you have 32, you're never going to be like without proper amount of RAM. 16, I would personally think that's a minimum of today when you're working with content stuff in general, whether or not it's video editing, 3D. That's my impression, at least. I rarely hear someone say, "Hey, I can get by with 8." Not if they want to go with the high end stuff. No, 16 is probably your bare minimum. So 20, probably. An RX 9060 would be AMD, I guess, because it doesn't sound like a Nvidia card. I have that part of the world is beyond me. I know that Nvidia does decent stuff, but could do better when it comes to business practices. I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking more in general. I have no idea of the setup you need. I'm thinking if I want to work with Blender, ZBrush, Unreal, if you have 8, you're probably just getting by, and you'll notice lag quite often. Especially if you want to go for high end stuff like nanite, if you're going to go like proper lighting, like real proper lighting. If you want to try stuff that's on the high end, then 8 gig is like saying I'm going to use a Volkswagen Beetle to like pull stuff, like heavy stuff. It's just not going to work. I mean, yeah. I mean, some people just don't do the big heavy lifting when it comes to like watching YouTube, things like that, like, or doing 3D. I've heard people getting by with like old computers. We're not even talking gigs anymore. We're talking megabytes. So the world is there's a lot of people out there, different types, and I'm happy for it because we need variety. If everyone's the same, imagine how boring the world would be. That would be insane. So what's the community, not your personal community, but like the general big broad strokes of the community you're interacting with? If I'm imagining the going back to VTubing stuff, are you interacting anything with that community, or is this a separate niched community that you're part of? ETX 90. Why do I recognize that name? I mean, I assume it's a antique. Oh, oh nine. Yes, yes. It's on the antique side of spectrum, I guess. I think my first computer, I can't remember my first personal computer had, but the one previous from this one had a 1070. That was NVIDIA. I've been a NVIDIA guy, I believe, most of my life, mostly out of pure convenience. It is convenient to go NVIDIA. There you go. That's all you needed back then. That time, who played anything else but World of Warcraft? It was all you needed back in 09 and 2010, because 09 and 2010 That will be late stages of Burning Crusade, right? Or maybe even Wrath had been released at that point. I think it was '09 that Wrath released, wasn't it? It released '08. There you go. So yeah, so you were playing um Wrath of the Lich King and perhaps some Cataclysm then? Cataclysm, was that 2010 or 2009? I mean, we don't really talk about Cataclysm, but sometimes you have to bite the sour apple and just kind of talk about those things. Me, I loved Wrath. That was the best time to be a WoW player. It was so much fun. The world building, everything. It was almost perfect. Or it's nostalgia that's talking, because that was part of my life where I was less worried about responsibilities and things like that. I was actually in university in the US when they released. And my life was it was not, looking back, it was not a productive life way of living, but it was sort of like go to school, come back, play some Wrath of the Lich King with some friends, and just pass time. Yakata kind of killed most of the joy, unfortunately. I loved Mist, though. Mist of Pandaria was a great expansion. It's not the level of Wrath, but if you had to pick one, in my mind, I think Mist ends up among the top. And then probably, not sure. After that, I'm kind of, this is a gray zone for me. Once Mist of Pandaria was released, some of them I can tell you were not good, but you had Legion. I kind of liked the Dragonflight expansion, but I guess I was another part of my life. I couldn't really get into it the way I got into Wrath. Wrath took so much of my time. But the other ones, I loved a few. A few I was like, nah, ain't happening. Leveled up all the way to max, then just quit. Nothing else. I guess that's mostly my, you can mostly describe my World of Warcraft experience as a leveler. I leveled a lot. Rarely, not rarely, but most of my time I've just played some instances, talked to my friends. Raiding wasn't really my thing, though I did do a few raids and it was kind of fun. Yeah, exactly. A friend of mine just managed to convince me that we should play the re-release of Mr. Pandaria. And I agreed. I just paid for it the other day. I got into it. And Warlords, I mean, it looked great, I think, personally. Just can't remember much of it. So that kind of says a lot. I remember a lot more from the other ones, which for me is the benchmark. How much can I remember many years later? If I can't remember anything, that just means it's just not memorable. Makes sense. But yeah. So the goal now for me is to get to 85, sorry, 85 before next weekend. And I'm 52 now. It's going to be rough. Yeah. That's kind of my experience with Legion 2. I like the leveling experience. That was kind of nice. But the moment for me, one thing that kind of destroyed my impression that I didn't personally like was when you could, well, actually that happened in Mist, but when legendary items became more or less the norm, it became easier to get. You no longer saw it as one of those holy shit moments. He has the glaives from Illidan. That was a big thing. But when I got from a drop, when a legendary dropped for me, that was like nope. I mean, dropped as in I picked up the chest from a daily that gave me a legendary. I was like, no, no, this is not the thing. If I can get a legendary, and I wasn't really hardcore, then it's no longer that mythical legendary stuff. It's just everyone can have it. And that lost me. Just didn't like it. I preferred when it was more like when you had elites, when you had elite class of World of Warcraft players, it gave the world more color. You didn't have to like it, but it gave the world more volume, more it felt more interesting when there were those who were slightly different because of the way they played than what it is today, where everyone can be powerful if you just spend a bit more time. You don't have to go crazy. You can just play and you'll get enough gear to be decent. I guess dungeons, when it comes to like the what's it called, mythic dungeons, I guess that's different, but just never got that back, that feeling of watching someone say, I know that player is amazing because they're wearing that piece of armor, that weapon. But yeah, that's my tangent. That's my rant on World of Warcraft. I think I'm gonna actually stop that because Shrill, exactly. There's a value between that. In that, if you can see someone do that, it's just, I don't know. It just puts something more to that. You just add that. Let's call it cherry on top. It's just like, yeah. But I really, unfortunately, have to end it here. It's been a blast, absolute blast, and I can probably talk for another hour or so. But my throat is hurting, and I have other stuff to do. Yeah, I can see it happen. Definitely. So, Shrill, I'll look forward to hearing more about your universe. I know it's going to take some time, but that's the fun part. We can see it evolve over a long time and see it things happening. And if you ever decide to do anything event stuff, just let me know because I'm curious. And anything else, yeah, absolutely. All the tips, the advice you gave me about AI stuff, and just a bit of encouragement. I needed that, so I'm probably going to look into more AI. But first and before that, of course, sound design. I need to get that done. So that's probably going to be once I have another thing done, and I have a second project going. Once that's done, which should be within a week or so, I should definitely look into sound design. Certainly, definitely. All right, Shrill, this is the last goodbye for today. Sounded more dramatic than I wanted to. Have a good day or good night, whatever you are, and I'll see you around. And for everyone else that might be watching, you can find me here on Twitch. I stream 5 times a day between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. my time, which is the Central European Standard Time. So what that means for you, I have to leave it up to you, but I would love to have you here. If other than that, I'm on YouTube. You can find me, just Google or search for Every Kindle Studio. Eventually, I will have some kind of overlay that will help you. But for now, you're going to have to look it up yourself, unfortunately. So with that, have a